finally we have the very first trailer for Spider-Man Far From Home. Personally, I've already lost count of how many times I've seen it. It's amazing. It looks absolutely incredible. Yeah, I do think this could be one of the best MCU films to date. Spider-Man is my favourite superhero, so I may be a little bit biased there, but yeah, I'm really excited for this film. So I just wanted to share some of my thoughts really on the trailer. Some sort of character points that I think are worth mentioning, and just an overall story basis. What's going to happen, what may happen. Of course, this is all speculative, so don't necessarily take this with any fact. It's just simply just speculation for the time being. So without further ado, let's get to the trailer. So to begin, I wanted to sort of talk about what was probably one of my favourite scenes from the trailer, and it's pretty early on. It's Spider-Man swinging through the streets of New York. This may sound like a very basic thing for Spider-Man. Of course, he lives in New York, so he's going to do that. But although Tom Holland's Spider-Man has been in the MCU since 2016, we haven't actually seen him swing through New York very much. There is a few bits in Spider-Man Homecoming of him swinging through neighbourhoods, but nothing actually in New York itself. Nothing, no skyscrapers, he doesn't swing around through those. There's nothing really. There is a very brief bit in Avengers Infinity War when he's trying to save Doctor Strange from Ebony Maw. He swings to New York then, but nothing's really elaborated on. So it's good to finally see him where he belongs. I'd love to see a lot more of this in Far From Home. I don't think that's going to be the case, because a lot of this film is set in Europe by the looks of things. But the fact we get a little bit, I'm sure there'll be a scene of him swinging through New York. I'm sure that scene from the trailer will be elaborated on. Whether that'll be quite early on in the film or maybe it'll be towards the end, I don't know. There are reports of the film taking place after Avengers Endgame, minutes after Avengers Endgame, so maybe that scene will tie into that somehow. But either way, that's something to really look forward to, that we're finally going to get Spider-Man where he belongs. So that's something I'm looking forward to. A second point is actually something which I probably would consider as one of the main talking points of the trailer. It's the characters we see. Finally, Nick Fury is with Spider-Man, and as someone who's a fan of the Ultimate Spider-Man TV series, that's something that I'm really looking forward to seeing, how he plays into a lot of this. It's as though he recruits Spider-Man and Mysterio to fight the Elementals, so that'll be something worth seeing. That'll be very interesting to see how that all plays out. There was a possible first look at Sandman. I don't think he's going to be in the film, but I've seen people online saying that is Sandman. I'm not sure if it is, because there's sort of been nothing's really been spoken about him actually being in it. There's been nothing in the press or anything, but that could just be a huge film reveal that might be kept for the film, and that would be one hell of a surprise and one hell of a shock to see him in the film. I'd absolutely love that, because as someone that will admit that Spider-Man 3 probably gets more hate than it deserves, I would say one of the best bits about that film actually is Sandman. So yeah, I'm a huge fan of the character, so I'd be extremely excited to see him go against Tom Holland's Spider-Man. There's Molten Man, who looks great. I don't really know too much about him, but he looks great, and from what I've read, he sounds really cool. So that I'm really looking forward to that. Hydro Man as well. As a huge fan of the 90s TV series, I'm really looking forward to seeing that. He's a great character. He's a really cool villain. Cinematically, I'd imagine he'll just be fantastic. It's good to see characters that have never been done in a film before, which is something I love about these MCU Spider-Man films, is that they always go for characters that haven't necessarily been seen, and that's really great and unique, because although I love the Amazing Spider-Man series, I don't think we needed to see the Green Goblin again as early as we did. So I'm pleased that Marvel is sort of going for different characters. So yeah, Hydro Man, definitely really looking forward to seeing what he does and how he plays into it. But a character that I'm extremely excited about, and not only because he's my favourite Marvel villain, but just in general I think he's a fantastic character, and I'm a huge fan of the actor as well, is Mysterio. We finally get Mysterio in the MCU. Just let that sink in for a second. I know, I can't believe it either. He's finally there. I didn't think they were going to be putting him in a film just yet. I'm really excited the fact they've done it. And the costume, I was always concerned that they weren't necessarily going to do the fishbowl because it does look a little bit cheesy, I suppose. But they've done it. They've absolutely done it. And I would say that it's one of the most accurate costumes in a film I've probably ever seen. Especially based off comics. It's ripped straight from the comics. It's incredible. His powers look great as well, of him flying around and using his magic powers. It looks brilliant. Really, Marvel have definitely nailed the character already. So I'm really looking forward to seeing what he does and how he plays out. Which brings me on to my next point. There's a lot of reports that he's going to be working with Spider-Man in the film, and you do kind of get that from the trailer. I personally don't think that that is the case. To begin with, it may be, but we all know that Mysterio is a bit of a bugger. Really, he's a bit of a shit. He doesn't really. He's not a good guy. So he's not going to be working with Spider-Man. He never ever does. He's always a villain. So what I'm imagining is that although he may be pretending to be on Spider-Man's side, he'll actually be working against him. And maybe even the elementals, maybe there'll even be illusions created by Mysterio. Because he knew that Nick Fury was going to recruit Spider-Man for it. So maybe he could somehow... Maybe he wanted to get Spider-Man at his weakest, because if he was working with Spider-Man fighting the elementals, he would understand and see how Spider-Man's move set works, and he'd get more of an idea possibly of how to defeat Spider-Man. I don't know if that is the case, but that's something that I'm really intrigued by. I'm intrigued to sort of see how that'll all play out. I think that'll be a really great reveal in the film, to see that Mysterio is actually not working for Nick Fury and he's actually just doing it for his own thing. Because that's something I like about Mysterio. There's a lot of Spider-Man villains, they're unfortunate characters that you feel sorry for because they've been in some kind of experiment or chaotic event that's made them bad. But Mysterio, he isn't like that. He just simply is bad. He just wants to cause hell in Spider-Man's world. So I think that makes for more of a maybe even a scarier villain, because his motives are he just wants to cause hell. So I think that's something to really look forward to sort of see how that will all play out. And cinematically, I think Mysterio could be one of the greatest villains to be put in a superhero film, because some of the illusions he can create are going to be amazing with all the special effects that a lot of companies have the ability of now. He's going to just look amazing. There's going to be so many fantastic scenes of him flying around, fighting either Spider-Man or the Elementals, or just in general, just seeing him around is going to look so cool. I'm kind of hoping for a bit of a augmented voice as well. I'm a huge fan of the PS1 game, and I absolutely loved his voice in that. He's sort of almost high-pitched, quite frightening actually, really creepy. So I'm really hoping that they do something like that when he's actually got the helmet on. So that's something to really look forward to as well. So yeah, I really think this could be just a fantastic film. I'm just lost for words at how amazing this film looks. As I said, a lot of it is set in Europe, which will be interesting. Spider-Man's got 2 new suits as well, so that's all really interesting. Looks like one of them might be, or maybe even both of them, looks like the suit which is very reminiscent of the Noir suit and his red and black suit. They look as though they'll be created by S.H.I.E.L.D. somehow, because there are reports that S.H.I.E.L.D. are coming back in the film. So that'll be really interesting to see how that plays out. I just think it would be great to see yet another Spider-Man film set in the MCU. I think, yeah, I'm really excited for this film. So I think this first trailer was fantastic. I imagine there'll be a second trailer, as there usually is with a lot of the Marvel films. That will probably come just before Avengers Endgame, I'd have thought, or maybe even to tie in with Avengers Endgame would make sense. So we'll just have to wait and see. But I imagine there'll be a lot more cool new shots at that point of Mysterio. So yeah, I'm really excited for this film, as you could probably already tell. So yeah, I think Marvel have definitely done Spider-Man justice. So I'm pleased that he's in the MCU.